Hello, today in my presentation I'm going to discuss marginalized voices in early modern English literature. So starting off first, as we can see, writers like Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe dominated the early modern period in literature and were obviously the biggest names back in the day. So it made it hard for every other writer out there. That is why so many writers were unnoticed and often their voices were silenced, especially the women writers. So I will be discussing an essay on women, a poem written by Mary Lepore, an 18th century English poet. The poem was not published during her lifetime and was discovered later by a publisher after her death. Mary Lepore was born in 1722 and she worked as a servant for most of her life. Unfortunately, Lepore died at the age of 24 due to measles, so she didn't live a full, long life. The poem, an essay on women, explores the social and gender issues of Lepore's time. The poem is written in the form of a mock epic, meaning some humor included, as well as a classical epic convention to criticize the treatment of women in the 18th century. In the poem, Lepore presents a series of characters and situations that highlight the challenges and injustices faced by women in her society. She criticizes the limited opportunities available to women and the oppressive social structures that restrict their freedom. Lepore also addresses the theme of the marriage and the unequal power dynamics between men and women within marital relationships. Despite the serious themes, Lepore employs humor and wit in her poem, as we can see. She also uses satire to draw attention to the inequalities present in society. The poem reflects Lepore's own experiences as a woman in a lower social class, providing a voice for the marginalized and critiquing the gender norms of her time. An essay on women is an important work that contributes to the 18th century discourse on gender and class. Mary Lepore's use of satire and her exploration of serious social issues makes the poem a significant piece of literature that offers insights into the challenges faced by women during this time. So something that stuck out to me from Lepore's poem is that she criticizes the notion that intelligence is somewhat a practical solution to a woman's lack of opportunities. So in the poem, men that are in power are often vexed, which means feeling threatened, irate, and angry by intelligent women. So nobody likes her because she is smart and intelligent, and tons of people constantly talk about her. Lepore also points out the many barriers and prejudices that typically limit women's opportunities despite having intelligent capabilities. So a line that also stuck out to me from Lepore's poem is when she says, despised if ugly, if she's fair, betrayed. She's basically speaking out on the challenges and injustices faced by women based on their physical appearances. The mistreatment women endured is insane and just prejudice overall. Lepore also states the desire men had, which was thirst of gold, is inspired by a virginal woman. So according to an interesting article called Ecological Escapism and Women in the Poetry and Prose of Amelia Lanier and Lady Mary Rolfe by Aaron Hedebrand. Writers like Amelia Lanier and Mary Rolfe were well-known writers, though not celebrated enough and weren't recognized by everyone, apparently. They both provided a different glimpse into the difficulty of womanhood and kind of made a name for themselves. And through this article, Aaron states, this thesis argues that regardless of what type of space is being considered, early modern women writers perceived natural space as a gateway for female community, suffering and longing. So it was really bad for women writers. They had to step away from their work just to get natural free space because of the struggles they had to face, other women had to face, being marginalized and not heard. Women were just seen as being a housewife, staying at home, cooking, caring for the children all day, and just being maid at this time. They did not have much of a voice to change anything. So overall, in early modern English literature, marginalized voices struggled to find representation and make a name for themselves due to the overpowering authors at this time. Women were just overlooked back in the day and struggled for recognition. But authors like Mary Lepore, Amelia Lanier, and Mary Rofe all contributed a lot based on their hard work ethic. So that's all today. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you very much for listening.